fantastic writer. And the long form pieces you write are very easy to read. The reason I say that is they're character driven. All of them are personality. And there's different personalities, different stories within each piece. And many of these people I know in person. Some of them I don't. I know them from social media.
Yeah.
But you bring them to life in a way that's very accessible. And it makes, I think, the story all the more delightful for someone like me who doesn't always have time to read and read and read. So you're a great writer. Your most recent piece, which I enjoyed, it came out on the 23rd. And if I remember correctly, the piece is titled 244,442. Yeah, 244,442 registered voters abroad.
Awesome.
Okay.
Good on you. Good memory.
Yeah. But that number is important because it's something like 90,000 back in 2018, was it? Okay, so that 150% or more. It's a very significant increase. So from your side, reporting on it, engaging voters, how did you experience it?
So first of all, thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. And second of all, so with this topic, I did a lot of research on social media. I went to every social media platform and I dug and I saw everything that was being said. And I realized that, there were people who were encouraging the diaspora to vote, and a lot of them were excited for change. But I saw another side that wasn't being talked about, which is the one you mentioned, which is they felt like they were being pushed around a lot. They felt like they had heavy stress. And the replies and the feedback they were getting is like, it's not nice. Let's just say that, right? Because they felt like, well, we can't even express our opinion anymore. And we need to understand something, which is... Joseph Al-Khouri said it in the article. Actually, he said that we are people, right? Like we're not like under one label, like the diaspora. What does that even mean? We are people who had to leave the country, and we all have different feelings, opinions, perspectives, and people were treating them as if they were like one entity, and that's just not true. So I wanted to explore that because, I wanted to see what's going on, how they were feeling.
So you mentioned Joseph Al-Khouri. If memory serves me right, he was a psychiatrist based in Beirut who's now in the Emirates, if I'm not mistaken.
He works between Beirut and Dubai.
Okay, so he's a well-known psychiatrist, at least in terms of social media presence. There's a quote from the piece. I'm going to quote his words through your writing. So I'm going to quote you through Joseph Al-Khouri. I feel like this campaign has put the Lebanese under two umbrellas. The good Lebanese, the ones living abroad who will initiate the change during the elections, and the bad Lebanese, the hopeless residents that are a lost cause. This is the sentiment that's coming across, and it's simply not true. Did you sense that big of a difference was happening? That there was this that we're portraying them as as a reluctant savior?
The diaspora are people, and like how many diaspora we have? Like millions, like 6 million or something. I don't know the number. Don't quote me.
I mean registered. Citizens. I don't know, but there's more
from
than,
plenty, right? So they are people. They are individuals. And I saw a lot of people that said, like, would you expect us to just save you or to just fix everything? And those are the people that I wanted to interview because they felt as if they couldn't express their opinion. And I was very intrigued. Like they they felt like on social media they would get so much backlash if they simply expressed their opinion. And that's what I wanted to dig deep into. And I am not a diaspora, right? So I have no idea how they feel or think or whatever, right? So this is why I was so intrigued. And actually a lot of them felt like, because we need to remember that they had the weight of medicines, like when the crisis happened, right? And they had
meaning sending us medicines.
Exactly. I had a piece on that too. Like they were sending so much. They basically carried the weight of the country when it comes to like medical, like healthcare, right? And then when summer came, they also like people pressured them to buy local stuff, to like invest in Lebanon, come to Lebanon, invest. And now this, like we need to understand that these people, especially the ones that left since the crisis began, they like suffer a lot like of emotional turmoil, like that we necessarily don't feel like, right? So So yeah, a lot of them felt pressured, and they thought that, like, okay, first the medicines, then we had to help you with the money, and now we need to like vote and not express our opinions. Where maybe they were too tired, or like they didn't believe in change. What's wrong with that, right? Like, what is wrong with having that kind of opinion? That's what I wanted to explore.
So I'm going to take Joseph's words one step further, because you quoted him extensively in the piece. It's further down. Psychologically speaking, it would have been more productive to address the diaspora under the slogan of joining forces with the residents, so that we could undergo the battle together, not separately. How could that how could that be done, other than sort of trying to get the number of registered voters to increase? What could have been done to bring them under a unifying umbrella? Because I'm trying to think what were the steps missing to make it a larger number,
right,
through persuasion rather than polarization?
I'm not sure what could have convinced them, because I don't understand their psychology fully.
Yeah.
But I think what he meant, I think that's my opinion, is that the campaigns, like the social media posts, could have been you and I were together, like join us, join our forces, like the residents and the diaspora. Like it's not like we need you. Like if you don't vote right now, we will actually die.
So it's really limited the social media outreach, that it wasn't done in a more inclusive way. Is that what I'm getting from I'm trying to understand his...
It's the social media campaign, because the social media was like, well, you have everything in the diaspora, your life is so good. This is like the sentiment I understood. Just register and vote, it's so easy. But like, no, it's complex for them, and we need to take like their opinion into consideration, right? And so a campaign where it would have been like for example, if I told you right now, Ronnie, if you don't do this to me, I will actually die.
This is what you said to get a podcast episode.
Exactly. No, my secret is out, people. I mean, yeah, that's basically what happened. What can I say?
You said you're going to die at midnight tonight, so I was like, khalas,
See, I'm Cinderella, except the Lebanese version. So, anyway. That's for another episode.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
what do you turn into with that? If you don't get, is it a pumpkin? No, that's the carriage.
I turn into Michel Aoun.
Oh.
This is why you never see him.
Yeah, right. That's funny.
So anyway, so if I tell you, like, if you don't do this right now, I will die, and you're a horrible person for doing this, for ignoring me. Or I can say, hey, if I do this, do you want to join me? I think it would be fun if you and I do this together. It's a joint activity.
I see.
This is the sentiment I think he was trying to tell me.
He made me think about it, because I noticed that there was a bit of reluctance when people were getting emails, sort of pushing that registration. Maybe sometimes those emails were available already, but it's just that extra step of we need you to vote that was not necessarily communicated the most inclusive way. So I appreciate his criticism. Yeah. But the article also includes other names, and there's one I enjoyed, Yara Lais.
Yeah.
Yeah. So she's mid-20s, living in Germany.
Yeah, she studies political science, so she knew what she was talking about.
There's a nice quote from her side. Usually the citizen would be a partner in the country's decision-making, but in Lebanon, we were never taught how to do so. Yeah. This was due to the sectarian state that manipulates the people and strengthens the traditional parties. And she also, this is not her words, but you're reflecting, she also feels that many of the Lebanese eligible to vote among her expat friends are still set to support old sectarian political parties. Going back to her, I know people who will vote for Lebanese forces just because they're anti-Hezbollah, Lais stated. So is that, in a way, added burden on the registered voter, that they know that, so what if they register? There are many people abroad that are going to be voting for the old parties. So the number may not be totally reflective. Yeah. And I think that's the sentiment from your title as well, that the number is big, but it may not be October 17. It may be a conglomerate of other parties too. So, did you sense that there's that built-in assumption too from people abroad that it's still Lebanon at the end of the day? Yeah.
I mean, honestly, when I went into this, I had no clue what to expect, right? Again, because from where I'm standing in Beirut, I have no clue what they're thinking about. So I was kind of shocked, because like from how they're described to us, that they're so happy and life is great and they're so open-minded, October 17 for sure. But no, reality isn't that way, right?
Yeah.
I was shocked when Yara and Joseph actually told me that they knew a lot of people that supported the traditional parties. So
they were registering as well. So
exactly, right? So they were like, the Lebanese abroad are still Lebanese, right? What do you expect them to be like? They just like get filtered into something else, like when you go into the plane, you just get filtered into like an open-minded revolutionary person. That's not how it works.
Yeah, right.
So yeah, and also I would
some reluctance in a way that this may not be, this is not the answer. I'm guessing from that the problems are bigger than just the number of people who are registered.
Actually, for Yara, she blamed the whole sectarian state, and I think her and Joseph were actually, let me call him Joseph or Joseph.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say.
It's like Joseph, my Frenchy side. I think both of them agreed that the residents also had a part to play, and I think actually Joseph said it, that we're painting an image that the residents are hopeless, like we can't expect them to do anything right now. And like the diaspora are so open-minded. We're building illusions. We're building like two like polarized illusions, and we need to bring them together for a realistic change, because we might be very, very, very disappointed by the diaspora, and that there's an even more heartbroken diaspora, the ones who had to leave because of the crisis, like Ralph Harawi. He loved his country, he loved his family, and he felt like this was a forced exile for him and a lot of friends. Do you know how hard it is? A forced exile? That's really hard.
So I'm thinking, is it United for Lebanon? Was that
United Diaspora?
United Diaspora, right. So that, he's abroad. He's pushing through. There was a nice moment where he's trying to get Latin American voters to register. So that there's passion abroad, even when there's some skepticism. The piece ends with his, I think, positivity, which I liked. I liked the quote: "The ones who dislike Lebanon and are happy they are left are a minority. We, in brackets, the ones the involved ones, are the majority. We are 80% versus 20%. So don't underestimate us. We are capable of change." So did you also get that sentiment that they are instruments of change as well, rather than just being called on to assist? Because from that quote seems like he's carrying the burden, that he's willing to do it.
And he's happy.
He's
happy. He spent like... He told me he spent like whatever free time he had volunteering with United Diaspora, because he felt like this was a forced exile. He wanted revenge. This is what I'm assuming. Like, this is a kind of revenge for them.
Right.
And this is why I wanted to include him to balance things out. Like, you have people that we should consider, like the ones who are really done and pressured. So maybe we can tackle it in a different way, right? What's wrong with that? Consider every single perspective. That's not wrong. And I wanted to include and to remind people that no, a lot of people were still very passionate. And Ralph is one of them, and a lot of people feel like this is a sort of revenge. And what he told me is that the ambassadors, and I mentioned this in the article, the ambassadors of Latin American countries, the Lebanese, they were not doing their jobs. Like 100%. They waited like till the last 2 days, and they reached out to people in these countries, and they were like, what's going on? Why are the numbers low? And they were like, we didn't know.
It's a bit out of the scope of the article, but maybe you came across this, and it's sort of taken for, it's assumed that there may be millions of Lebanese Brazilians. But whether or not they are registered Lebanese, forget registered voters, or even if they have the documents to prove it, they could be third generation or mixed marriage. Did you sense that there was any push to get the Latin American diaspora to get involved? Because I understood it as the ambassadors or the embassies there were not reluctant because they were not doing their jobs only. They may not have the numbers even to begin with. That this is more of a mythical story. The Lebanese in Latin America, they could be from World War I refugees, and they're Lebanese in terms of maybe their great-grandparents had stories of Lebanon, but they're detached. So did you get that feeling at all that even though we count on them in terms of total numbers, but they're not as involved.
Well, actually, according to Ralph, a lot of these people have lost millions of dollars in Lebanese banks. In
Latin American?
Yeah, a lot of them had like invested money or whatever in banks, and they lost millions.
Okay.
And so they wanted to completely like boycott and like not get involved in Lebanon anymore, right?
It's the other end.
Yeah, exactly. And they were like, no, because also, yeah, I agree with what you said. A lot of them were refugees, like from like the world wars, and even the civil war. And when it comes to the people who were, who lost a lot of money, they were like, well, do you want revenge? This is a way to get revenge.
That's interesting.
You can get them out. So yeah, they did a lot of good work.
So it's really bitterness, and add to that, why would they want to vote for a system that robbed their money?
Yeah.
So that's it's detached and also disgruntled, but also involved.
Yeah, because if they didn't vote, that's the logic I understood, then the same people would be in power. So why not try to get them out? See, that's your revenge plan. There you go.
But from my understanding from his side is that the numbers were not that big. That he was involved, obviously, he pushed, but the total statistics, I think the largest numbers were in Europe when it came to the breakdown of registered voters. If I'm not mistaken, Europe was the biggest.
Yeah, that's true. Latin America is not...
Was it third or fourth in terms of region? I'm trying to remember. I think North America was second.
Yeah.
Or no, was it Africa? The breakdown is available somewhere.
Yeah.
But I remember Latin America was not the first.
But this is why they went and talked to people.
Right.
Because they spoke to them on Friday and Saturday. Like, when I spoke to Ralph, he was so busy. He was like...
Oh, you spoke to him in the last stretch.
Yeah, right, because it was Friday and Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
Like, few hours before, he was like, oh my God, I'm bombarded with calls and like help. So, yeah, they waited for the results, and then they went to them and they were like, is there a reason why you guys are not voting? That's what I understood. And then,
I'll be honest, I got some messages, and I was trying to help Kulluna Irada with a call center. And the numbers are big. I mean, 160, 70% increase, whatever it is. It's impressive.
Yeah.
It is impressive. Yeah. But I think it's the way you wrote it is also, it's eloquent, because you're describing that this is not just getting voters to register. Yeah. Maybe there's a better way to do it. There's a better way to engage the diaspora. And I liked the duality of the piece. I liked Joseph El-Khouri on one side being maybe cautiously optimistic and skeptical to a degree. And on the other end, you have somebody like Ralph Hourany, who's emboldened to go all the way. So it's a good piece. I enjoyed reading it.
Thank you.
It is a natural extension to an earlier piece, which came out in early November. It may have been, here we have, 2nd of November, The Case for United Opposition. The reason I liked this one is because this is the world I live in. All the names, I mean, these are either podcast guests or friends. And some of them are older names that have been involved for a bit. Some of them are fresh. And you found a way to reflect on them properly because they're young, they're passionate, but they also have some background. And I think they're the future of this country. And he's a friend, so I'm going to bring him up. Samer Makadem, he's been on the podcast twice. I've gotten to know him in person. We disagree with each other sometimes, but we do it in a very civil way, and I love talking to him because I learn from him. I got to meet the executive director or the secretary general of Mintashrin, Hussein Raishi, who's also a podcast guest. I've had disagreements with both of them together and lovely conversations with both of them. I learn from them. I'm going to mention the moment you bring up Samer Makadem. For Samer, a member of Mintashrin's executive council and the party's recording secretary. The upcoming electoral battle is about building a proper functioning state and redefining what it means to be a citizen and the rights and responsibilities that come alongside it. The responsibilities of what it means to be a citizen.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you?
We have no clue how to be a citizen, right? Like, this ties to what Tiara said and the other, right? Like, Lebanese people have no clue how to be citizens, and we don't consciously think about it, but it's true. Because even when it comes to voting, I think someone pointed it out for me, I can't remember who, but it's like, we go by people we know, or we go by, like, we don't like we don't go by programs. Like we have never done that. I mean, this is the first time I'm gonna be able to vote, but I'm guessing before, like people didn't choose to go by like political programs, right? So we don't know what our rights are, or responsibilities are, what we should expect from the state, what we should do to help the state. We have no clue. And I think that's what he was referring to, and that's what Yara was referring to, that we just have no clue what to do.
I mean, he goes a step further in terms of his own personal responsibilities. And he says that it's imperative for voters to get to know the candidates. So this is something I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
I know that Min Tishrin goes all over the place, even to geographies that they know they may lose in a landslide, but for them it's important for people to get to know them. And I'll quote him again. But if, in brackets, independents kept working after the elections, we would have credible figures that the people already trusted. So I'm guessing from him and other people that I've spoken to, not on the podcast, in friendship, and I think it echoes not just in your piece, but it's sort of a daily conversation. That's a lesson learned.
Yeah.
That they stopped too soon.
Yeah.
Did you get that sentiment from all these groups that have been trying for a few years now, pre-October 17, that they made a mistake by just getting defeated and just giving up?
I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that, because the opposition then was a different story. Like the candidates were different, the parties were a different story back then.
Right.
And yeah, they were running just under the pretense of like, we're the opposition, we are against traditional parties, vote for us. Yeah. This is what the sentiment people got. And yeah, everyone agrees, like the people I spoke to at least, that like we shouldn't do that. Like this is the lesson learned. I didn't speak to all of the opposition parties yet. I'm coming to all of you. Expect me. So
it's like a public announcement. Beware
like
of
you can't ignore me. I'm gonna find you, all of you. So
I'll warn them.
No, it's not fun. So yeah, I don't know if they share the same sentiment, that like a lot of them weren't. Like they weren't involved in 2018 because a lot of them came out of the 2019 revolution, exactly. Right? Yeah. But yeah, a lot of the candidates then, the ones that lost, they completely, except Poraya Obiang, like we saw her, like, right? But the others were kind of like, what are they? Yeah. That's what I think what he was trying to get at. And I think it would be an interesting point of view, right? Like if the people got to know this person and through the elections, and then he lost, whoever he is, and then he kept working, he didn't give up, people knew him. Like people have to see, people need evidence, like we're human beings, we need to send stuff in order to believe it. So I think that's the point, is that, and even in another article he said that Min Tishrin is not gonna stop after the elections, like the day after, they're gonna keep working, and I respect that, because people need people like that.
And from listening to him and others in that group, and not just that group, others in October 17, that they think of next year as just the beginning of a very long process. Yeah, so those are his words. Now, there's somebody who's a little older in terms of where October 17 lands and his career, Mark Daou, who's in Taqaddum. He ran in 2016. Yeah. And there's a moment that I think it resonates with me, because he, in a way, gets into something that I deal with regularly. And who am I at the end of the day? I'm somebody talking. But imagine that if you're in the political scene, this must be an immense headache. He mentions the willingness from some October 17 parties to put the Civil War years behind them and talk to anyone willing to reform. And he's referencing specifically Kata'ib and how that party, Taqaddum, can form an alliance with Kata'ib. Yeah. So that to me it seems something that allows for bigger gains in next year's elections. That there may be something in terms of allying with this group because they expressed reform tendencies, and they probably will offer a bigger coalition should they all run together. It's a obviously it's a controversial thing among
Yeah.
October 17 parties. He said it in a way that's very straightforward, that if you're a reformer, that's all that matters. We can all move on from the civil war if we're willing to, together. Then there's the other side, which says, hell no, they're not willing
Yeah.
to. So in your reporting, since you want to talk to everybody in October 17, have you already sensed that this is a divisive issue?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, sorry, beyond his take, and maybe
Beyond everything.
beyond everything, yeah. Did something that you've run into yourself?
Oh yeah, I mean, tomorrow, self-promotion. Tomorrow, there's an article about the Beirut Bar elections.
So this will come out on Friday.
Tomorrow.
Okay, so
yeah,
for people listening
and
and watching,
right, that's Friday.
it's 2 days early, but I'll embed it in that episode.
But this is a long analysis, and I think it's fascinating because we see this problem there, like Kataib.
Yeah.
It's like this is the issue there, right? Because a lot of people are like, no way that we can join forces with people who have like this kind of reputation and history. And then you have, Jabhat al-Mu'arada that's already formed, which Taqaddum is part of. So yeah, it is a very, very, very divisive issues for them.
Have you run into anyone that's expressed as absolute opposition within October 17?
No one's like directly. No way. No, not really. I don't think they would do that actually, because I don't know. Is that democratic? I don't know. I'm not a politician.
Honestly, I don't know. I mean, we had the elections last weekend, this lawyers syndicate election. That seems to be the issue that tore the alliance apart.
There's more than that. I'll go into that tomorrow or on Friday. In the article, you'll know.
Well, this will come out after the article, so I'll embed the article. But what can you say to that effect on this issue?
What issue? The
reluctance to get too close to Kataib, with
right.
acknowledging Mark Dawoud's words, and I'll quote him directly. We, meaning, I guess he's assuming this is Taqaddum, not just the alliance, but Taqaddum and company. We're not going by people's opinions of them, meaning Kataib. As long as we get along politically and share the same principles, then there's no issue. What about the others that are not willing to go that far?
Well, I mean, yeah, all of them said, like the ones I spoke to, is that we need to agree on a political program, right? No one said oh no, we need a clear history of... No one said that. So, but there are definitely issues of shared principle and even agreeing on stuff amongst the October 17 groups. So there are not everything is as organized as we think it is, right? Even inside, both of them actually, the opposition front and the October 17 groups, it's not that organized, people. It's not oh yeah, we need to agree on shared principles and the same program and that's it. I think it's more complicated than that. I'm not sure what happens behind closed doors, but so far, from what I understood, from what I'm going to write, is that it's not that easy. Even them, both of them actually faced issues. And why did certain candidates win here and not others? Right? And why did we have two candidates for the Naib position here?
Here in Beirut.
Yeah, why did that happen? And why did the candidates win that were,
Sorry, these are questions you're asking, or you have why? And I'm curious why.
It's the questions that people were asking, right? It's why did there are issues inside, not issues, there are things inside the coalition that we don't know about. So it's not that easy. It's not about we need to just agree on principles. No, I don't think that. I think it's more complicated than that.
Well, you talk about this actually within the piece, that there are some parties that think of sovereignty first and then economic reform second. Yeah. And that's obviously you're referencing Kataib and co. Then there's the other side which says no, economics comes first, sovereignty comes second. Yeah. Now that's an old debate that's been exhausted for the last 2 years maybe, or more, longer. So that's a debate that you can have until Lebanon gets reborn or dies. Doesn't matter. That's an existential debate at this point. I think everyone has made up their own mind in that struggle. But there's a professor that you quote in the piece, Fadia Kiwen, from Saint Joseph.
Yes.
So she makes it very clear. Electorally, the opposition has a chance to win, but they need a clear vision and a clear political program. The number of party supporters dropped significantly due to their incompetence, but the alternatives need to unite and provide a unified plan that they will all follow to increase their chances of winning.
Yeah.
So it's really just about making it clear what you stand for, because I read all these policy papers. Mint Tishrin has a website, which you allude to actually.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole platform is there. Shab al-Nahas and Munfid have their own list of whatever tabs and subjects. I would go as far to say is even Katib these days has their own platform. So I don't know. I mean, that seemed a little too simplistic in my mind, that it's all about platforms. I think the platforms are accessible. They talk about these platforms.
Okay. That's not what everyone thinks, right? Because like the diaspora, for example, they have no clue about these people. Like they have no clue. Like they may know of them, but they don't know about them like the way we do. So there's an issue there. I'm not sure like how it can be fixed or whatever. But not everyone sees it that way, that they're there and their like policies are obvious, because this is not the first time that I hear this, like we don't know their political program. And honestly, who's gonna consciously go and look at each party's like group's website and read the political program? I don't think that's everyone, right? Like you need to be exactly interested, but people need.
I think even party members don't always click on it. No, really, because it's a wealth of material,
right?
But it's available.
It's available, but not. We need to think like this generation thing, the social media generation, right? That's not. People are lazy nowadays, so maybe. And people said, "Where are the campaigns? Like, we need to know you, people. We need to see you." That's what a lot of the diaspora actually said. We need to know you. We need to see you. So there's that issue, and
I'll just interrupt here. It was very visible. Sami Jmail and his tour in North America. That was real campaigning abroad. Did you sense that anyone in other October 17 core parties were they doing anything like that? Traveling and promoting their platform abroad?
Well, I mean, not all of them can do that, right?
Yeah.
Like, they work a lot. Like, these people work so much. In this country, you have to do so much. So we can't all just hop on a plane and go. And also money, right? A lot of them need the finances and funds. So it's not about the political programs per se, but it's about like people knowing, reaching out to people and introducing yourself, because obviously this is my job and this is what I'm interested in, so I'm gonna go read. But someone else, my friends, no, they're not gonna do that.
I don't know what more they could do in terms of promoting their platforms.
Let's ask them. What more can you do, guys?
Have you asked them that question? I actually asked to a degree with Mint Tishrin, because I've done maybe 5 episodes with different members of Mint Tishrin. They emphasize that they have a website. They launched it. They have all these Instagram snippets, and they're very good. They're actually easily accessible. So if they can't travel easily, if they don't have the funding to do politics outside, I don't know what more they could do to try to talk about their economic policies. Even in podcasts, which they've done many podcasts, different outlets, they've talked exhaustively on these issues. I don't know what they could do beyond that.
Yeah, it seems like a lot of work, but this is like politics, right? Politics means a direct relationship with the people, serving the people. Yeah. So maybe they should ask people, and people will answer them what they would want them to do, right? Because also people told me from the diaspora that they feel like some opposition parties are arrogant. Not arrogant, but they didn't feel like a direct connection with them. But that's because they read social media posts. So they have, like, you know, when you read the text and you have no idea how to interpret it, it could be like, oh, this person is cold. Well, no, like you're just reading a text, right? So I don't know what the people need. But, and also I'm not like referring or hinting to any specific party. I'm just saying that this is how some of the people I spoke to, like how they expressed their feelings about like the opposition groups, that some of them just didn't seem like they were close to them.
You know, obviously you're a talented journalist. You're doing your reporting day in, day out. My experience in terms of getting to know voters abroad is not that big. I interact with them online, but you're doing you're working and you're writing pieces on them. My understanding was that these groups are more popular abroad than they are here.
No. I mean, no, that's not true.
May I throw an example? Min Tishrin?
Yeah.
Maybe I'm wrong. I thought the passion for that group was more diaspora than local.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously like Ralph Reunited Diaspora. There are people who are passionate.
Yes.
And like, you know, Min Tishrin has members who are passionate, right? But we need to understand that there are millions of us out there. So we need to see the other, like the passionate ones are okay. Good on you guys. You're doing a great job. But we need to look at the doubtful ones, the ones who have no clue what's going on, right? What could they do more? I honestly have no clue, but we could study it. They could ask people. I don't know.
That is a great segue into the traditional parties, which obviously are still a force.
Yeah.
They're not expired. And I think it's Fadia Kiwan that points at that.
Yeah.
And these are your words. The traditional parties are still a force to be reckoned with. But by creating a coalition, Kiwan expected the opposition to amass around 25 of the 128 parliamentary seats.
Right?
That sounds outrageous to me.
Right.
I can't imagine 25.
Why not?
Why not?
That would be awesome.
Maybe it's being a little too hard, but I think the number would be more like 5. And I'm excluding the independents, meaning not Michel Mawad or Named Frem. So I think the number at most would be 5. So 25 is a huge bet. And add to that, Fadia's quotes, the number of party supporters dropped significantly due to their incompetence, but the alternatives need to unite and provide a unified plan that they will all follow to increase their chances of winning. I don't know if unity or planning can get that much done for next year. I really think it's an issue that is older. It's something we spoke about sort of before recording, that you need to have one party that includes all. And it should just be October 17.
Yeah.
And you mentioned before that you were 6 in 2005. I vividly recall this, that March 14's biggest mistake was not letting go of the older parties and not becoming one force to reckon with, political force. It stayed a conglomerate of parties and eventually broke down for many reasons that I've gotten into repeatedly. But I think October 17 had a better chance at coalescing, and it stays a conglomerate of very small parties, with Kataib being the largest one.
Yeah.
And they're not even welcomed by every October 17 party. So I don't know where she got that very big number.
They could get 25 if they unite.
Oh.
So everyone is calling for a united front, right? Because once they do that, they are capable of getting 25 seats.
Right.
That's what she meant. Because also a lot of people that I talk to, they're calling for a unified coalition because that's what the people want. They don't want, like, we have divided state. Why would we want more divided groups? So they could do that. Otherwise, I don't know, because the Beirut Bar elections kind of threw us off, right? And a lot of lawyers that I spoke to said that there was a lot of ego involved, right?
Yeah.
What was happening there? What's going on? This
is a subjective view, but it looks bad when October 17 and Kataib are still disagreeing on everything, or not necessarily everyone. They still cannot have that natural unity, and Kataib does better when it works with the regime in numbers, in total numbers, than it does when it works with what should be its friends and allies in October 17. And I don't know where the burden goes exactly. If that's the Puritan protester or Kataib. Because and sorry to keep talking here. Kataib, at the end of the day, is a political party. They don't survive unless they run for elections. They are nothing without elections. And I think of that party as sort of looking at the regime as not a friend, but an opportunity to win more seats. Given that the October 17 longer list really doesn't want them around.
I guess the Puritans, those
the Puritans.
Who don't want to be involved with a traditional party. Yeah.
And I think the name that was thrown out at the beginning, Karim Dahir, sorry.
Yeah.
Karim Dahir.
Yeah, the candidate that
should have been the natural pick for everybody.
Yeah, I mean, that's what the lawyers that I spoke to said. Like, it was, they saw that opportunity and they let it slip because of issues with Kataib. And that's interesting, right? Because from the lawyer's point of view, he should have been the ideal candidate and he would have definitely won. So, yeah, I don't know what the priorities are. Like, in October 17, like, what's happening? What's going on? What are the reasons? We don't know the entire story because they obviously don't come out with statements that say, "Oh yeah, we're not gonna work with Kataib anymore because this and this."
Right.
So it's like up to our interpretation, right? So we don't know what's going on there. But yeah, there was an opportunity, and apparently it was lost. This is according to the lawyers. But yeah, the opposition need to be united because the people, what they're seeing is just a divided groups, and we have divided groups. That's not what we want.
Yeah.
But I don't know how it can be fixed. I don't know. I need to dig in deeper.
The article will be embedded, even though it's coming out after the release. It'll come out before the release of this episode.
Why are we so confused? It's literally, listeners, it came out before. Read it if you want, if you'd like. That would be nice.
I'll include the link in the details box. Yeah. There's a third piece that I'm glad you brought up, actually, when I reached out to you. It's something that you wanted to talk about, more than just a business. This came out earlier. It's October 11.
Yeah.
And it's a nice personality-driven piece where you're talking to entrepreneurs who can't make a living not because of their lack of skills, but because the economy crashed.
Yeah.
And they want to earn money, as any young entrepreneur should. Their desire is to have a stable income and to really
have a job,
flourish, and grow and creatively.
Yeah.
You spoke to an architect.
Yeah, Mirna. She's
Mirna.
great. Kindness, love that.
Kindness, yes.
Kindness.
Sorry, I thought you were.
She's amazing.
Yes.
Marwa Asman.
Was it Mirna Shaban?
Yeah, Shaiban.
Shaiban, sorry.
Shaiban.
Yeah, and you're exploring somebody's journey through Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah, and how they're able to knit.
Yeah.
Customized
Right?
items. I think it was an emotional sort of type of craft. Yeah. Yeah.
Who would have thought? Like, in Lebanon, through the whole collapse, we still have emotional shopping. People buying things because it's significant to them. They're just epic. See, there's always a way.
Now, there's a quote in the piece. It's a little further down. It's referring to the use of social media during the crisis. It's from a social media expert, Brahim Yunus. And this is the quote. What social media helped enhance was the number of people that found their desired items right in front of them. Business owners could now target more people and find more clients. So, did you sense by talking to these entrepreneurs that they would not have a living otherwise? That this was the last resort? And the internet's still running, social media is still accessible, that if you can't afford it here, at least if you're abroad, you can afford it.
Yeah.
Maybe if you're visiting, you could help support. And that this, in a way, offered an alternative for people to stick around.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? So, first of all, I'd like to start this by saying that this is why I love journalism. I just adore people. Are you kidding me? When I get the chance to speak with people that just give you so much hope and you just see the courage Actually, I do this on the daily, and it's just so nice. So this is why I love my job. And yeah, this piece is a great example of that because, first of all, let's take Mirna, because her page Kindness had success, and it's an interesting story. Like, you would never think of knitting as a successful business, especially in 2021, right? But she made it happen, and she prices in dollars.
Right.
Yeah.
Which is important.
Right, yeah. And she admits that it's a luxury thing, right? And she had to come to terms with that. And that's okay because she actually has a client base. Like when I spoke to her, she was fully booked. Like in the summer, was it like August? Yeah, she was booked throughout the whole month of August. Can you imagine that? Like, there are people who really like these things, and we have people who like earn money in dollars here. And there's a client base for that. So
not us.
No, definitely no.
That
Now Lebanon, do better. I love you guys. So anyway, so it's not that it's their only resort. Like Marwa, for example, she has another job that she's not satisfied, and I think a lot of young entrepreneurs have like a
Marwa
job.
was the second architect, is that right, or a graphic designer?
No. She was. She works at the Maqasid Foundation.
Oh, sorry. Yeah. Of course.
Yeah, exactly. So no, she had that job, and she also wanted to start a side business, which is Canva art, which is embroidery on canvases. That's also epic, right? So, but a lot of these people, actually, I didn't speak to a lot of people because then the article would be so long, but they rely solely on that income from these businesses. So things can happen. Right? Like, if you have an idea, you can have a client base. And Mirna is a great Kindness is a great example of that. That there are people who would be interested in your craft. So. And
it shows that you can still have an independent journey in this country. It's tricky because you're taking your skills to the internet. It may not always work, but I think enough creativity, there's ways to do it. And it's not just knitting. You mentioned somebody else. The name is, I think, I can't remember.
It's Sahjinan.
Thank you, Sahjinan Hassouni.
Sahjinan.
Yes. You said I couldn't.
Sahjinan Hassouni. Yeah, she was an older woman in Jnoub, and she Moune, right? Yeah. And online, like her Instagram page also helped her get more people.
But what I liked about that is that that's the older generation.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, which I thought was very important. That you have an older woman who's been struggling, who's now an Instagram entrepreneur.
Right?
Yeah, I thought that was inspirational, actually. It was a lovely story.
There's always a way, guys. There's always a way.
How did you reach out to her? How did you find her in terms of Moune and this kind of crap? Because this is a story I've never heard. A lot of the pieces that I read are familiar names.
Yeah.
So you run into the same characters. How did you run into her?
I dig deep. I spent hours researching on social media to find like an interesting page or person. And I always, my priority is always to give people exposure or to help them out. Because Marwa had just started her page when I messaged her, when we talked actually. So I messaged the page, and actually the niece, I think, got back to me, and she said, well, speak to my aunt. And the aunt is the one that's responsible for everything. And so I do a lot of research.
But may I ask, because this is more on the reporting side, how did you find her? I mean, because Instagram is just...
You okay.
What is the process? No, really, I'm sorry to be like a little detailed.
I'm trying to remember.
You found an individual selling Moune in a fresh Instagram account. A new Instagram account.
So this is what I do. So I go to like Moune pages, all of them. I write in Arabic and I write in English, and I see everything, every hashtag. I go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and I go through every single hashtag and everything that has Moune in it. And I spend my day just searching for like the right page, the right content. I try to stay away from the more famous ones.
That's clear, because I'll say what I mentioned at the beginning is that these are character-driven pieces.
Yeah.
But these are names that come out of nowhere, so it's a nice, refreshing experience.
Yeah, exactly. It's epic. It's because I get to know these people, which is what I love to do, and they get to talk to someone, and it means so much to me.
So you're using social media for that?
All the time.
Okay, so that's a nice way to kind of wrap it up with your generation, and you're a younger journalist. I mean, obviously the profession is old and has gone through different era. I mean, the written word is clearly not as determined today as it used to be, that you have word limitations that are built in. Instagram is pictures. Hashtags is not sort of literature. Yet you write long form analysis. So in that world that you navigate through, do you find that the audience is more interested in the social media experience than the actual written form? Because I read your pieces, and I know that you were off social media for the most part until recently. Even Twitter, was it last week that you joined?
Yeah, I lost my mysterious journalist title.
What do you mean?
Everyone was so confused whenever I would like reach out to them through email, or if I get their number, they're like, who? There's no evidence of me on social media, right? I have an Instagram account that I used to find people, and a Facebook account that I used to find people, and I didn't use my Twitter account for the longest time until like 5 days ago.
Right.
So I was the mysterious journalist, but now I've lost that title.
But why? I mean, somebody who depends on social media so much for accessing information, why were you off social media? Even Instagram, if I'm not mistaken, you don't post.
I don't post.
It's like maybe one post.
I post stories. They're fun.
You post stories, yeah. So, but I mean,
I don't post.
I guess what I'm asking is, you're not a social media journalist.
Yeah.
You're not a social media persona.
No.
You're really a fairly reserved journalist who writes.
Yeah.
Is that deliberate, or you? I mean, I'm trying to figure you out.
Oh, good luck with that. That's not gonna happen. It's an interesting observation. I like it. So yeah, I adore social media because of people, because of the other. I'm not interested in myself. Like I see myself in the mirror. I don't need pictures of myself, or you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I don't know how to interact based on a persona of me on social media, if you know what I mean.
That's interesting.
I have no clue how to do so. I know to talk to people because that's what I love to do. But me, to present myself as me on social media, I'm still learning. I really am.
It's not a principle in terms of reporter versus opinion. It's not that you're trying, because you could share the facts that you've gained on social media, but you don't do that either.
No. Yeah, I'm not interested in my own stuff. Like I write and I love it. But I don't know how to promote on social media for myself. I just don't know how to do it.
I guess you're out of step with most of your peers, because I'm just going to guess that you're the only one among your friends, even colleagues, who doesn't turn to social media for self-promotion.
Yeah.
But you're also on the opposite side, you're using it for data. Yeah, which is really interesting.
I really don't care about myself and that. I mean, maybe someday you might find me with like a full like Instagram of only my pictures. That could happen. But yeah, I just have social media accounts just for people. I like to keep up with people. I made a Twitter account for the people. Also because my editor, Anna Maria, kept telling me to do so. Thanks, Anna. Love you.
You made a Twitter account for the people you interviewed?
No, because I like to keep up with the people.
To
keep up with the people and to find the people, because I like to know what's going on. I want to keep up to date with the people, what they're going through, what's happening. This is how I based my diaspora piece.
I'll say something. I've heard it from different journalists. Some of them are, I mean, they're younger, some are not. That it is a skill to not be the center of the story, to take yourself out of it and share the story for what it is without inserting your own persona or even your own opinion, for that matter. And the journalists that I admire more are the ones that do that naturally. And it's not easy to detach yourself. But just that you've taken that experience a step further by detaching yourself completely from social media, although now you're forced on in a way.
Not forced on. I enjoy it because it's fun. But yeah, I just don't know how to be like the center of attention when it comes to me. Like me to deliberately be the center of my attention. I already spend 24 hours with myself every day. Like to spend time on social media to talk about myself or to promote myself. I'll have someone else do that. When I have someone else to do that for me, then that would happen. So if you're interested in that position...
You're the first person, Dana, I've done this many times, hundreds now, to look at the camera when they talk. I find that very endearing. Yeah, you said something which I thought was funny. You can't see without your glasses. So
I don't know what I'm looking at.
You don't even know. Well, you're looking at yourself.
I see a pink thing moving. I have no clue what's going on.
No, that's you, Dana. That's you right there.
And that's me.
That's
you
as well.
But that's not me.
Well, you can bend
that's
yourself into
me.
the frame. Yeah, there you are.
Yeah. So see, I'm not even interested in.
Well, I mean.
Look, after it comes out, if it looks bad, it's deleted. It's gone. Never happened. It's never happened.
This is not the first episode. It's not the only episode we'll do. We'll have follow-ups when you have more to write. But you've written a lot in the short period of time that you've been at NOWLebanon.
I was never supposed to be a journalist, but here I am. Never say never, people. Never say never.
Could you end the episode with that story?
All right. So.
And don't lie.
Lie.
All right.
I'm gonna mention Anna Maria. If I lie, she's gonna come for me. I'm gonna do that. So, I studied journalism, but then I was like, this is not happening. This isn't for me. I'm done with it completely. It's too much. Blech, politics. Ew. So I just continued my life.
I guess I should just look at this.
We're just gonna do here.
Okay,
I'm talking to the people.
Yeah.
I'm not even.
No, you can go ahead. Go ahead.
So
No, that's fine.
I'm going that way. So I studied journalism, but then I was not interested anymore. I thought it was too overwhelming. And what's the point anyway? Just gonna publish like bad things happening all the time? No. So I stayed away from it. I traveled a bit, blah, blah, blah. And then I was bored one day, and I thought to myself, I like talking to people. People are my passion. That's all I'm interested in, people. So I was like, I messaged someone from NOWLebanon. I'm like, do you think, you guys don't have a lot of cultural stuff going on. Do you want someone to write a piece? Anna Maria was like, yeah, sure, do that. And then I did it. Because I'm an extrovert. I wanted to talk to people. So I did that piece, and Anna loved it. And she offered me the job, and she was like, do you want to write more? Or, are you interested? I just said yes, because I liked Anna. She was nice, and I thought working with her would be cool. And now here we are. I am now obsessed with economy, politics, and law, surprisingly. And that's all because of Anna, because she kept challenging me. She kept pushing my boundaries. She thought I could do it, and I did it. Because the law ones, everything that I did about Beirut legal, I was so insecure about talking to lawyers because I knew nothing about law, and I tried to educate myself, but oh my God, have you tried to know every single aspect of the Lebanese law? It's too much. So I was very insecure, and I thought this isn't for me, even politics. I thought this isn't for me, definitely not. But then I studied a bit, and I researched, and I did it, and I spoke to people, and I spoke to lawyers, and I spoke to political parties and groups, and I broke that barrier. And now I realized I'm actually really interested in politics and law. And that's all because of the amazing people I get to talk to, that because they're fascinated, I have become fascinated. Just love them.
Well, it's an inspiration for anyone who's having second doubts of going into journalism. I think you are a primary example of somebody who stumbles into something that they love doing and ends up doing it for a living. And you're obviously very talented in what you do. You're also very endearing, Dana. You're somebody I could talk to for a long time. I think it's because the energy level is quite high, which is Yeah, but you strike me as somebody who crashes well at night too. When you turn off, you turn off. And
I like my sleep.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
I like my sleep, but
Yeah.
I would sacrifice it for a good night out with people.
Okay. Well, I'll take you up on that invitation when it happens. Thank you for spending your evening with me, Dana. For anyone that's been listening, the Now Lebanon pieces are in the details box. For anyone that's watching, that's Dana Hourany.
Not the singer. Not the singer.
Not
I should
the
change
singer?
my name. That's it. خلاص, I'm changing my name. I'm Loni Shata. From now on.
Well, if that were to happen, the viewers would go up.
Also, can I say something?
I don't know about the audio.
Can I say something to the listeners?
Sure.
Like whoever is doubtful or whatever, or because this generation is so focused on success and like reaching the goal, enjoy the journey, fail. Like go through so many failures because that's what counts. How you learn and what you learn, not the success. Because you need the journey to have a story. Success is just there. It's a perspective. But go through the journey, try things, and if you fail, I'm rooting for you.
We should get the snaps at the same time.
Yeah, 1, 2, 3.
There you go.
Yeah.
Dana, thank you.
Thank you, Ronnie. This has been so epic and fun. I'm looking forward.